Welcome to the Iran 1400 Project podcast, where we explore the past, present, and possible futures of Iran through informed dialogue, independent thought, and diverse voices. From historical insight to emerging narratives, we connect ideas to action in the pursuit of a more just, inclusive, and forward-looking society. Join us as we rethink Iran's trajectory, one conversation at a time.
Okay, picture this. You're in a packed stadium, huge roar from the crowd, and then the national anthem starts playing.
Yeah.
Or maybe think about a protest, right? A flag being waved really defiantly, or maybe even being burned.
Powerful images.
Exactly. And in that moment, it's clear that a piece of cloth or, a song, it's not just fabric or music.
Yeah.
It's alive. It's a symbol that can spark really deep emotions, connect people, or, divide them.
Absolutely. They carry so much weight.
So our mission today is to really dig into that. How do these national symbols, like flags and anthems, how do they reflect a nation's identity, but also how do they actually shape it, especially when things are changing fast?
And we're going to zero in on Iran because the evolution of its national symbols is, frankly, fascinating and often really fiercely contested.
Fascinating and contested. That sounds about right.
It really is remarkable. These symbols, they aren't static things carved in stone. They change, they absorb new meanings, they become battlegrounds for different visions of what the nation is or should be.
And where are we getting our insights for this deep dive?
We're drawing heavily from a really insightful article by Vafa Mostahim. It's called Parcham, The Evolution of Iran's National Symbols. It's part of the bigger Iran 1400 project.
Ah, the Iran 1400 project.
Yeah. Yeah, and that project looks specifically at how Iranians are sort of reimagining their national identity, thinking about civic awakening, pluralism, cultural memory, all these big ideas.
Okay, so for you listening, why should you care about flags and anthems in Iran? Well, understanding these symbols is almost like a shortcut. It's a way to grasp the deeper struggles, civic, ideological happening within the country. Helps you move beyond the headlines and be, truly well informed.
It's like decoding the subtext.
Exactly. So let's start with flags because, as we said, they're never just cloth. They're shorthand, right? For collective memory, for what people hope for civically, for their ideological commitments.
Totally. And in Iran today, the flag is a huge indicator. It signals political allegiance, but also this sort of aspirational identity. It's really become contested terrain.
Contested terrain, where different ideas about the past and the future are clashing.
Precisely. Academics often call flags polysemic signs. Bit of jargon, maybe, but...
Polysemic, meaning.
Meaning they can carry multiple meanings, lots of meanings, sometimes contradictory ones. They get recontextualized depending on the regime, the ideology, the generation.
So the same flag could mean freedom to one group.
And repression to another, absolutely, which makes them these incredibly dynamic areas of cultural and political struggle. It's fascinating.
So if one symbol can mean so many different things, what does that tell us about the power involved? Who gets to decide what it means?
That's the core issue, isn't it? It's about symbolic power, symbolic capital. Who has the authority to define the meaning?
And how does understanding that give us the ultimate cheat sheet for decoding what's really going on inside Iran?
Well, it tells you who holds the symbolic capital, as Bourdieu would say, the authority to assign meaning. And what's really striking in Iran right now, according to our source, is that there isn't just one flag everyone agrees on.
Not just one. How many are we talking about?
The article highlights at least 4 significant variations that you see circulating, both in Iran and in the diaspora. And each one evokes a really different idea of what it means to belong to the Iranian nation.
4 flags. Okay, let's unpack them. Let's start with the first one. The Allah flag. That's the current official flag of the Islamic Republic.
That's the one. It has the traditional green, white, and red stripes. But the key is the central emblem.
Describe that emblem for us.
It's designed to represent the word Allah, God, but it's stylized.
And there's writing along the borders, too.
Yes. If you look closely, the phrase Allahu Akbar, God is greatest, is repeated 22 times along the edges of the green and red stripes.
22 times. Is there a significance to that number?
There is. It commemorates 22 Bahman, which is February 11th in the Gregorian calendar. That's the date marking the victory of the 1979 Islamic Revolution.
Ah, okay. And the colors themselves, green, white, red, what's the official line on those?
Officially, green stands for Islam, white for peace, and red for martyrdom. So it pulls together Shia Islamic symbolism and older Persian elements.
So this is the flag you see at, government buildings, state events, international summits. It's the one recognized by the UN.
Correct. It's the internationally recognized flag of Iran since Iran's been a UN member since 1945, albeit with different flags over time.
But what's the feeling inside Iran? Is it universally accepted as the national symbol?
Well, that's where it gets complicated. It's deeply contested. While it is the official flag, its symbolism is heavily debated.
How so?
Critics argue it represents the Islamic Republic regime much more than it represents the Iranian nation as a whole. They feel it alienates Iranians who are secular or non-Muslim or just have a more pluralistic view of the country.
And we've seen reactions to it in recent years.
Definitely. Since the 2022 uprising especially, you've seen protesters actually burning this flag, which is, a really powerful, undeniable symbol of a widening gap between parts of the population and the state.
Wow. And how does the state respond to that? To the burning of the official flag?
Well, predictably, the state narrative is completely different. They equate desecrating the flag with attacking national unity itself. For them, it's not just a regime symbol. It's a mark of national sovereignty, resistance against foreign enemies.
So the state says it's about unity, but the protesters burning it see it as a symbol of oppression. Is there any overlap left? Or have these views just diverged completely?
It seems for many they've diverged almost completely. The state tries to frame it as the national symbol, but for a growing number of people, it's become irrevocably tied to the system they oppose. The symbol itself is part of the conflict.
Okay, so that's the current official flag. What about looking back? That brings us to another really potent symbol, the lion and sun flag.
Ah, yes, the Shiro Khorshid.
This one has a much longer history, doesn't it?
No, absolutely. Its roots go way back. We're talking ancient Persian iconography, astrology, Shira symbolism, even echoes of Zoroastrian heritage. It really became formalized during the Qajar and later the Pahlavi dynasties.
Can you break down its elements? The lion, the sun, the sword.
Sure. The lion typically represents strength, royalty, kingship. The sun behind it often symbolizes justice, enlightenment, maybe even ancient Persian glory. And the sword the lion holds stands for defense, resistance, the ability to protect the nation.
And this flag was banned after the 1979 revolution.
It was, yes, banned by the new Islamic Republic. But it didn't disappear. It's still used very widely today, especially by monarchist groups and many in the Iranian diaspora, particularly in places like North America and Europe.
What does it represent to them?
For them, it's often a symbol of historic Iran, sometimes specifically the Pahlavi era, but often reaching further back, representing a national identity that they feel predates the Islamic Republic.
But it's not universally loved, even among those who oppose the current regime.
No, definitely not. It carries its own baggage. For some Iranians, it's a symbol of autocracy, of the Shah's rule, maybe even seen as representing foreign influence or an elite nostalgia that doesn't resonate with everyone.
Especially younger generations inside Iran, perhaps.
Exactly. Its prominent use in some external campaigns for regime change can make its reception complicated inside Iran, particularly among younger people or those with more progressive or Republican ideals. There's a real tension there.
It really highlights that generational divide or maybe ideological divide in how history is viewed.
It absolutely does. Imagine, growing up in the diaspora, seeing the lion and sun as this cherished symbol of a lost heritage. Then you encounter people back in Iran who see it completely differently, maybe associating it with oppression or the past they moved away from. It's complex.
Okay, so we have the current official flag, heavily contested. We have the historical lion and sun, also contested. What's next?
Well, that leads us to a third option, which has gained some traction. The plain tricolor flag.
Plain tricolor, so just the colors.
Exactly, just the familiar green, white, and red stripes. Crucially, without any central emblem, no Allah symbol, no lion and sun.
Does it have any official status?
No, none at all. But it's popped up more frequently, especially after the 2022 protests. And our source mentions that similar plain versions were sometimes used in non-governmental contexts, even before 1979.
What's the appeal of this one?
Its appeal seems to lie in its perceived neutrality. It's for Iranians who want to reject both the explicit religious symbolism of the Islamic Republic and the monarchist connotations of the lion and sun. It's presented as a kind of depoliticized, inclusive symbol of national unity.
Just the nation without the specific regime or dynasty attached.
That seems to be the idea, but of course it has its critics too.
What are the arguments against it?
Well, some argue that without any emblem, it's just too generic. It could easily be confused with flags of other countries, like Italy or maybe Tajikistan if you're not looking closely.
Right, the colors are used elsewhere.
And others feel it lacks, emotional weight or historical resonance. Does a blank slate truly capture the depth of Iranian history and culture? That's the question.
Its strength is its inclusivity. Maybe its weakness is its lack of distinctiveness. It's like a blank canvas, which can be good or bad depending on your perspective.
That's a good way to put it. It avoids baggage, but maybe at the cost of specific identity.
Okay, that's 3. What's the 4th flag mentioned in the article?
The 4th is perhaps the newest and most movement-specific one, the Woman, Life, Freedom flag.
Zendegi Azadi.
Precisely. This emerged directly from the 2022 uprising, which was sparked by the tragic death of Mahsa Amini. It features that powerful slogan.
Which originally came from Kurdish activism, right?
Yes. It has roots in Kurdish feminist and activist movements, which adds another layer of significance. Design-wise, you see variations. Sometimes the slogan is written plainly, sometimes in stylized script like Kufic, often on the white band of the tricolor.
What does this flag symbolize?
For many, especially young people and those in the reform-minded diaspora, it symbolizes a new vision for Iran. One that's secular, inclusive, emphasizes gender equality, and is fundamentally democratic.
So its power comes less from history and more from its message.
Exactly. Its power lies in its ethical clarity, its direct connection to a contemporary struggle for rights and dignity. It's less about historical lineage and more about present aspirations.
But does its connection to a specific movement limit its potential as a national flag for everyone?
That's a fair question, and it's debated. Because it emerged from a particular protest movement, some might question its universality, but its moral force is undeniable, and it gains significant global recognition as a symbol of this, civic awakening in Iran. It's incredibly potent.
4 flags, 4 very different visions of Iran. Okay, so we've spent a lot of time on flags, which makes sense. They're very visual. But what about the national anthem? Is a similar dynamic playing out there?
Very much so. It's often overlooked, maybe because it's auditory, but the anthem is another battleground reflecting a similar ideological transformation.
Tell us about the current official anthem.
The current one is called Surud Milli Yomhuri Islami Iran. It was adopted in 1990, and crucially, it includes direct references to the Islamic Revolution and to Ayatollah Khomeini.
So, like the flag, it's explicitly tied to the post-1979 state.
Exactly. And because of that, many Iranians, particularly those critical of the regime, view it essentially as propaganda. They find its religious overtones and somewhat exclusionary language problematic.
So is there an alternative anthem that people turn to, like with the flags?
There is. In stark contrast, the pre-revolutionary anthem, A Iran, has become a kind of de facto anthem of dissent.
A Iran. When was that composed?
It was composed back in the 1940s, and you hear it constantly at protest rallies, at diaspora cultural events, even in underground gatherings inside Iran. It often emotionally and symbolically replaces the official anthem for many people. It evokes a different kind of patriotism, focused more on the land and the people.
That's fascinating. But here's a twist. The article mentions the Islamic Republic itself has sometimes tried to use A Iran.
Yes, this is really interesting. The regime has occasionally tried to co-opt or reappropriate nationalist symbols, including A Iran. You might hear it in state broadcasts or at certain official ceremonies, especially. The article notes, after recent events like the conflict between Iran and Israel.
Why would they do that? Why use an anthem associated with the previous era and with dissent?
It suggests they recognize what you might call a symbolic deficit. They understand the official symbols don't resonate universally, so they try to tap into that broader national sentiment, the emotional power of A Iran.
Trying to harness that patriotism for their own narrative.
Precisely. But for many citizens, these attempts are seen as transparently opportunistic, just propaganda. It often just highlights the disconnect, between the state's attempts to control the narrative and how people actually feel.
This whole struggle over symbols, it feels very specific to Iran's situation, but is it unique?
Not at all. And the article touches on this too. If you look globally, you see similar dynamics everywhere when there's major political change or division.
Can you give some examples?
Sure. Think about Libya, when rebels in 2011 brought back the old pre-Gaddafi kingdom flag. Or in Syria, where the opposition often uses the green, white, black tricolor from the pre-Ba'athist era to oppose Assad's regime.
Right. Or even the Vietnamese diaspora.
Exactly. Many still fly the yellow flag with 3 red stripes of the former South Vietnam. And look at the U.S., the ongoing intense debates around the Confederate flag, originally a battle flag, now a hugely contested symbol tied to racism, heritage, rebellion. It depends entirely who you ask.
So these symbols become focal points for much deeper cultural and political fault lines.
Absolutely. They are never just symbols. They are condensed arguments about history, identity, and the future.
You mentioned sociologist Pierre Bourdieu earlier, talking about symbolic capital. How does that concept help us understand this battle in Iran?
It's central, really. Symbolic capital is basically the power, the authority to define what cultural symbols mean and who gets to use them legitimately. When one group claims a flag, for instance, another group might reject it precisely because that group is using it, even if the symbol itself once had a broader meaning.
So the meaning isn't inherent in the symbol. It's constantly being negotiated and fought over based on who wields that symbolic power.
Exactly. And in Iran, this battle over symbols vividly reflects those fundamental tensions we've been discussing. State versus citizen, religion versus pluralism, a rigid ideology versus a more participatory, ethical approach to national life. It really boils down to who gets to write the nation's story and what symbols will illustrate that story.
So bringing it back to you, the listener, who's trying to get a handle on these complex global dynamics, what's the takeaway?
I think the takeaway is that the question in Iran today isn't just a simple, which flag should we fly? That's almost superficial.
Right. The real question is deeper.
The real question is, what kind of future are we actually imagining for the Iranian nation? The flags are just representations of those competing answers.
So this whole debate, it's not just about aesthetics or tradition. It's a window into a really profound civic reckoning happening.
Absolutely. You see, especially among a new generation, both inside Iran and in the diaspora, an active effort to redefine what it means to be Iranian.
And they're moving away from older frameworks.
It seems so. Moving away from, say, nostalgia for past dynasties or adherence to a specific clerical ideology. Instead, they're focusing on concepts like civic dignity, human rights, participatory ethics, pluralism.
And this connects back to the broader themes of that Iran 1400 project you mentioned.
Directly. Themes like independence, peace, building public trust, unity, hope. In all these discussions, symbols become the visible markers, the shorthand for these much larger aspirations for justice, for representation, for a nation that maybe isn't tied down by the dogmas of the past.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, let's leave our listeners with something to think about. A final provocative thought.
How about this? What flag will ultimately represent Iran in the years ahead?
Will it be one of the 4 we discussed?
Maybe. Or maybe, just maybe, it won't be a banner pulled from the past at all. Perhaps it will be a new symbol, one that hasn't even been created yet.
A symbol born not out of ideology or dynasty,
but out of dialogue, out of a shared sense of dignity, out of a hope for a more democratic and inclusive future.
So the next time you see a national flag being waved or you hear an anthem being sung, remember it's not just fabric or music.
Look closer. See the battleground. Understand that which symbol is chosen and why it resonates gives you a powerful lens.
A lens into the conflicts, the aspirations, maybe even the soul of that nation.
Thank you for listening to the Iran 1400 Project podcast. The Iran 1400 Project invites scholars, experts, and intellectuals to share their assessment of the evolution of institutions and ideas during the past 100 years to inspire a vision of Iran in the 1400s. If you found today's episode thought-provoking, be sure to subscribe, share, and continue the conversation. For more content and upcoming events, visit Iran1400.org. Until next time, stay engaged, stay informed, and stay hopeful.